At the edge of the known world, nestled in the sleepy town of Moonshadow, lived a brave young boy named Levi. Moonshadow was a quaint place, filled with charming houses and friendly neighbors. But it was also a town with a secret that only came alive when the moon hung low and the shadows grew long. One crisp autumn evening, Levi was playing in his backyard when he noticed something peculiar. A small, scruffy mouse with bright eyes was scurrying around, seemingly in a hurry. Levi had always been fond of animals, so he knelt down and extended his hand. To his surprise, the mouse didn't run away but instead climbed onto his palm. "Hello there," Levi whispered. "What's your name?" The mouse twitched its nose and seemed to nod as if understanding him. "Lucas," Levi decided to call him. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Levi heard a rustling in the bushes. Before he could react, a group of shadowy figures emerged. They were pale, with eyes that glowed like embers and fangs that gleamed in the moonlight. Levi's heart pounded in his chest as he realized these were vampires. The tallest vampire stepped forward and pointed at Levi. "You will come with us," he hissed. Before Levi could scream, the vampires grabbed him and whisked him away to an old, abandoned mansion on the outskirts of town. Inside the mansion, the air was thick with the smell of decay. The vampires threw Levi into a dimly lit room and locked the door. Levi's eyes adjusted to the darkness, and he saw Lucas the mouse scurrying in through a small crack in the wall. "Lucas, what are we going to do?" Levi whispered, his voice trembling. Lucas twitched his nose and seemed to understand the urgency. He scampered around the room, looking for a way out. Suddenly, Levi heard the vampires talking outside the door. "We will turn him into one of us at midnight," the tall vampire said. "Then he will be ours forever." Levi's heart sank. He had to find a way to escape before it was too late. With Lucas by his side, he began to search the room for anything that could help them. He found an old, rusty key hidden under a loose floorboard. His hands shook as he inserted the key into the lock and turned it. To his relief, the door creaked open. Levi and Lucas crept down the dark, winding corridors of the mansion, trying to avoid making any noise. They could hear the vampires' footsteps echoing through the halls. Just as they were about to reach the front door, one of the vampires spotted them. "Stop them!" the vampire shrieked. Levi's heart raced as he and Lucas sprinted towards the door. They burst outside, the cold night air hitting their faces. But the vampires were close behind. Levi spotted a small, hidden path that led into the dense forest. He and Lucas dashed into the trees, hoping to lose the vampires in the thick underbrush. They ran and ran until they could no longer hear the vampires' footsteps. Exhausted, Levi and Lucas finally stopped to catch their breath. The forest was eerily quiet, but they knew they couldn't stay there forever. They needed to find their way back to Moonshadow. With Lucas leading the way, they navigated through the forest, using the moonlight to guide them. After what felt like hours, they finally emerged from the forest and saw the familiar lights of Moonshadow in the distance. Relief washed over Levi as they made their way back home. He knew they were safe now, but he would never forget the terrifying night they had escaped from the vampires. Back in his cozy bedroom, Levi placed Lucas on his nightstand. "Thank you, Lucas," he whispered. "You saved my life." Lucas twitched his nose as if to say, "You're welcome." From that night on, Levi and Lucas were inseparable. They had faced the darkness together and come out stronger. And though the town of Moonshadow returned to its sleepy, peaceful state, Levi knew that he and Lucas would always be ready to face any danger.